All right, family. So I want to give you a couple of my predictions on where I see things going. And this is simply based off my observations, things I've seen, things I've read, things I've heard. And so I want you to do your own research, of course, like always, and draw your own conclusions. But definitely ask yourself why. Why are these things happening? Why are these things happening now at this point in time? And if certain things are being revealed, what's not being revealed? So there has been a concentrated effort to essentially psychologically prime society for shifting towards a genderless, non binary, and a world where human identifiers have been removed. And if you think about this from a psychological standpoint, the benefits of conditioning humans to remove human identifiers, things such as faces, body parts specific to genders, and titles such as they, them. When you remove the duality, the dualistic him, her, you allow room for the androgynous, the combination of the masculine and feminine, understanding that you are neither polarity, but rather switching through both polarities at a rapid rate. And your ability to switch between polarities, masculine and feminine, directly correlates to your ability to move efficiently throughout this world. The more efficient you are through switching between receiving and giving, you can move throughout this world with a sense of purpose and intent behind everything that you do. However, if you are disconnected from yourself, you are not you don't have access to your strengths. Now, you may have access to your weaknesses because as somebody who is in a depressed state or anxious state, you're going to highlight all the negative aspects. And the reason this is because you are overcome by another spirit that is not you. That spirit is the spirit of depression, the spirit of anxiety. These are all spirits that attach themselves to you because you allow the room for them to latch onto. Now, if there's no room for these lower level entities to latch onto, then there can't be, they would need a new body, right? And so it's my belief that the whole reason we're seeing this entire shift towards genderless, non binary, they, them, removing all human identifiers is because humans fear what we don't know, what we are uncomfortable with. New things change, right? But the only thing that's constant within the universe is change. However, some people have been conditioned to believe that security truly exists, that they are secure in their lives, when in reality, nobody is secure at any given moment because nobody is ever safe from nature. And nature is wild, nature is chaotic. And so that chaos, the same way you can't outlaw dandelions because they will pop up any which where. And so, because of this, the same concept applies to the way showers, the empaths, the people who came here with the specific purpose of self empowerment and demonstrating self empowerment to others. So, the whole system is based upon humanity, right? And we got to ask ourselves, what is the current goal of humanity? Do we have a collective goal as a humanity? Is it to be the best human? Or is it to go beyond? Because everything that I've learned from studying and experience in life has taught me that at some point, the human experience is not enough. It doesn't fill in the gaps that spirituality does. And it was my original belief that spirituality was a program devised for the outliers who didn't fall into the box of religion or who managed to break out of the box of religion. It essentially created a new religion for people to follow. And this is why you can't attach yourself to any aspect of this reality. Because when you die and when you go through judgment and your heart is weighed and you see if your heart is lighter than a feather, what that really means is, do you have any material attachments? Are you still worried about, oh, I could have done this better. I could have been a better person. I could have been a better dad. I could have been a better father, better mother, better whatever it is. You have to ask yourself, why are you holding on to these attachments in a world that does not exist? These people don't exist. Their souls are real, but that's not them. Their physical avatars, that's not them. You are feeling their energy, and their energy is what feels comfortable. Their energy is what feels familiar, not the fact that they're human. It's the fact of how they make you feel. How does that human make you feel? So now, if we are moving towards a more unified non-binary system, what would that do to humans on a psychological standpoint? There would obviously be some type of psychological rift created within the mentalities of the people who essentially weren't ready to embrace that change. Some of us are more willing than others to embrace change. And because of this, some of us move at faster rates. So if you essentially look at everything on a timetable scale, right? If there are different generations all here at the same time, different bloodlines that go back different further dates, some earlier, some further back, you have to ask yourself, the first thing before there was light was darkness. And so because darkness came before the light, the original primordial force was darkness. Therefore, that would be the most powerful aspect in the universe. However, when we get into the specifics of what darkness truly is, darkness is simply the unknown, the subconscious, the realm which we cannot tap into, or rather understand, but can sense it. We can feel that there exists something beyond this physical realm. However, we can't tangibly put our hands on it, but try to convince somebody whose loved one passed away that that's not a sign when they see a butterfly and that person's favorite thing was butterflies. Like, those different signs and elements are synchronicities. A synchronicity is a pre-programmed event within your DNA set to go off at that specific time so that you recognize you are in alignment with your path. This is why you see these synchronicities. And so as you're paying attention to the world and how things are unfolding, look at the synchronicities being presented. Look at the movies that are coming out, the TV shows, the messaging behind. This is all important because it all speaks to the subconscious of the collective. The collective grid is speaking right now. And it's being displayed through film, art, music. Every avenue of entertainment, every avenue of anything that can be consumed is being transformed right now. And there is a larger rift being created between those who want to evolve naturally and those who do not wish to evolve. And the days are drawing closer and closer to where the split is going to be more polarizing. And this is what I'm speaking on when I say we're moving towards the genderless non-binary society. This would then allow us, from a human psyche point, to bring in robots. They, them is how they would be referred to. They would not have the same human identifiers, which could be scary to some people, right? However, if people are already slowly but surely being built up in the psyche to accept they, them, genderless, non-binary entities, then of course in due time they're going to roll out with non-binary, genderless entities, aliens, robots, all types of extraterrestrial entities, right? And I want you to think about this. Why now? Again, the Aztecs have said that these are the days of the coming of the sixth sun. And it's the belief that with this sixth sun comes a new frequency that essentially would not allow essentially the elites, whoever is manipulating the human construct, using humans as kind of like bodysuits, essentially, just meat suits, and pushing their agenda of their species rather than the agenda of the human species forward. So if this sixth sun is among us, and it is the time where the power dynamic has to shift, then it would make perfect sense, again, why there would need to be this advancement in terms of transferring consciousness via Neuralink, via all types of integration with artificial intelligence and creating the cyborg hybrid, because the people that were never human to begin with, this is the prime opportunity for them to come in and integrate into society without too much of a fuss. Because the other way around, imagine how debilitating it would be to just come out and understand that your mailman might have been not human. You know, the person, your boss, all these individuals who exist within your everyday life, but you had no clue. And meanwhile, there was a whole different agenda that was going on, and you had no clue. You know, these are the possibilities when you look at everything, because it just doesn't make sense why everything is happening now the way it's playing out. And the only thing that makes sense to me is that from a psychological standpoint, we have to prep humans in order to be more accepting of entities and bodies, vessels that do not appear like them. If you go back anytime there's been any previous alien sightings or anything, grays or whatever, there was never a distinction of him or her. It was they, them. There was really no physical identifiers that specifically spoke to the gender of these aliens. And so because of that, they were just assumed to be androgynous, both aspects, which is the same thing we are, androgynous, both aspects. But if you believe that you are only one polarity, the polarity that you incarnated in, you are at a disadvantage because you are operating at both. You can't just receive in this world and get by, and you can't just give in this world and get by. You have to give and receive. So if we get to a place to where we have a robotic workforce, we have all types of different creatures that are non-humans, we would have a pretty universal world in a sense, right? Essentially, there wouldn't be the same amount of secrets or secrecy. But at the same time, how would this benefit the human psyche? How would this evolve the human psyche? How would this evolve the human species? Because if humans have been the top of the food chain, apex predator up until this point, or rather the illusion of being an apex predator, and suddenly the power dynamic is shifted and a new species or entity steps in and is far superior, far more advanced, far more capable, how do you think that's going to make people feel? How do you think people will respond to that? Do you think people will respond in a positive way? Do you think people will embrace these changes? Do you think people are embracing these changes? Do you think people even see these changes are coming? To me, it's as clear as day, because everything that's told to you essentially is done as a spell. It's a web of lies spun to get you to fall into that individual matrix, right? To get stuck to that matrix. And the thing is that somebody weaved that matrix. And because somebody weaved that matrix, you getting stuck within it only disempowers you and doesn't allow you to tap into your full true potential. And because you'll never tap into your full true potential, you again will stay disconnected from self. And when you're disconnected from self, you can only highlight your weaknesses because you're not tapped into your strengths. When you tap into self, when you empower self, you tap into your strengths and weaknesses. It's an integration of all aspects. We are currently going through what seemingly would be an integration period, but all I see is more division being created. There is clear lines being drawn, and it's no longer a black and white or a black versus white type thing. It's a enlightened versus non-enlightened. And the enlightened have got to a point to where there's no more arguing. I'm not doing no more arguing with people. I'm not convincing nobody of anything. Look, this truth is out here. These things I'm speaking on can be confirmed by multiple other people. If you do the research yourself, you can come to the same conclusions I came to. If you read the same books I read, you might not come to the same conclusions, but you will have an experience, and that experience will aid you in understanding yourself. And when you understand yourself more, you understand God more. And when you understand God more, you understand the universe more, because everything is interconnected. Nothing happens by chance. And so if you were here at this specific time in history, as this shift is undergoing, what is your role? What is your position as these changes are occurring? Are you doing everything you need to do? Are you operating at your best, highest frequency? Are you in alignment with who you say you want to be? Or are you settling for what's been given to you, what's been told to you? This is how we've operated, based off what's been given. But it's time to shift out of that and go get it. You got to go get it now. It's not going to be given to you. The information has been flooded. There's a flood of information. It's up to you to build your level of discernment and know when you're reading some bullshit and when you're reading some shit that resonates with your soul. It's up to you to build that skill of discernment. Nobody else is going to do that for you. You don't have to be perfect, but you do have to empower yourself to the point to where you feel damn near perfect. Because you know that you're doing your best with what you have, and that's all you can do. We are building the plane while flying it. You have to give yourself more compassion as these changes and shifts occur, because some of these things that are about to unfold, you are not about to have any control over. And if you are not tapped into your highest self, your highest intentions of who you are, you're going to get washed into the lies that are being spun, and you will just get into the spin cycle, and they will just wring you out. until you have nothing left and you no longer desire to live. That's the goal, to beat you down until you want to take yourself out. Because the opposite of that, if you can tear yourself down, you can build yourself up. But if everything happening around the world is making you tear yourself down, be hard on yourself, again, ask why that is. Why would a group of people orchestrate events that would make people want to hurt themselves, that would make people lose everything they thought they valued? Again, this is the redefining of what we believed to be true, of what we believed to be the truth. Everything is being redefined right now. And that's a beautiful thing, because through destruction can come creation. The opposite of death is birth, not life. Life just is. You have to make the best of it and know who you are, despite the turbulent changes going on around you, because these things are going to change quick, family. And you need to be prepared for these things, because if you're not, it's going to catch you by surprise. And it shouldn't catch you by surprise, because everything is unfolding slowly, day by day. And if you just pay attention, if you just focus on what's going on, you can see the scam. You can see how they're playing people. You can see how they're manipulating people. You can see how this is all emotional manipulation at its core. Because he who controls a person's emotions controls that person. If I control your emotions, I control you. I own you. There's nothing you can do. Because at the end of the day, I control a piece of you. That shouldn't be the case. But we've allowed ourselves to be conditioned into thinking that people have an effect on our feelings, that people have an effect on our destiny. And in reality, they do not. They may play a part. They may be a sidekick. They may be an antagonist, a protagonist, whatever their role may be. At the end of the day, what's meant for you will always be meant for you, no matter what's going on in the world. Because all of this is by design. This is all pre-written. You just got to tap in and understand the patterns, the cycles. What type of psychological warfare are we playing at here? When I tell you you're from this place, and I make you believe that you're from this place, but you're not really from this place, and you start your baseline off as thinking that you're from this place, I've already won. Because the misinformation I've given you has already led you down the wrong path. Now, if in your heart you say, you know what, I don't know why, everybody tells me I'm from here, but something in my heart just tells me I don't resonate with that truth. Now, if you were self-empowered, you would double down on that and say, you know what? Maybe I'm not getting the whole truth. Maybe there is more truth to this situation, because my soul is yearning for completion, for some sense of contentness. And I'm not content with the answer I have currently, because it doesn't make sense to me. It's causing me confusion. The things that cause you confusion are the devil. As you elevate consciously, and I spoke on this in a previous video, you get exposed to higher highs, lower lows, right? But at the same time, what that's doing is it's showing you that as you move up through the cycles, the frequencies, you're going to experience the same loop. It's just that you have a different perspective to handle things differently. So whereas if a year ago you hadn't been doing the work, and now, present day, you're seeing everything happening, and you are fearful because you haven't come to terms with your inadequacies or the things that you failed to do within this lifetime, and you go into a state of panic, again, what does that do for your psyche? What does that do for your mental health to operate out of fear? Nothing good. Fear doesn't help your body, mind, or soul, but fear is being pushed out by the masses right now. Why? Why is that? Why do you think this is happening? The whole thing is to not allow you to empower yourself. So you must empower yourself. Empower yourself and find out what happens. Because you already know what happens when you're not in your power. That's how you've been living. That's what you've been upset with, feeling disconnected from. So why not flip the switch and empower yourself, inform yourself, and understand that no matter how things play out, you'll be good because you know who you are. You know your power, you know what you're capable of, you know what you will accept, and you know what you will not accept. If you know that, you ain't got to worry about this shit, family. Sit tight and watch it unfold. But if you haven't been doing the work and there's any fear in your heart, it's time to purge that right now. Because nothing is worth your peace. If it costs your peace, it's too much. And you need to understand that and let go of the attachments to people, places, and things. I don't care if it's your mama. If your mama is putting you in a terrible position, mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually, a toxic, abusive relationship, remove yourself from that relationship. Have the respect to hold the compassion for yourself and step in the same way you would want somebody to step in for you if you were in that situation. Do it the way you would do it for somebody else. Do it for yourself. Because so often we'll do things for other people that we won't even do for ourselves. You got to do it for you first, because the world is not for you. You are the only person for you. The world is here to test you in every which way, shape, and possible. It's your job to get yourself to a proficient level to where you can pass that test without even worrying about it. You ain't worried about it because it's things you're already doing. Tap in, family.